Hello and welcome to Bright Ideas with me, Anita Rani, a podcast brought to you by EE. This is where I speak to experts and celebrities about their lives to reveal the steps that they take to be the very best version of themselves. I'll be focusing on 4 key areas that together make a more fulfilled life. That's home, career, their appetite to learn new things, and how they unwind and relax and have fun. Each conversation is packed with tips, tricks, and advice we can all use to help improve our very own lives. Now, today's guest is someone who has recently taken on an inspiring challenge to get fit at 50. He's a familiar face to millions, having spent decades on our screens as one of the UK's most loved TV presenters. Whether he's keeping us company on This Morning or hosting game shows like Tipping Point, he does it all with warmth, charm and boundless energy. But now he's taking on a whole new challenge, proving it's never too late to push yourself and achieve your fitness goals. It is, of course, presenter, journalist and all-round top bloke, Ben Shephard.
Oh, thanks, Anita.
Okay, so I start by asking everyone the same question. On a scale of 1 to 5, how happy are you right now?
Oh, 5.
Love this. Come on. What's going on?
I don't know whether it's the advent of turning 50, which is quite a thing. I've never really been fussed about my age. I've never really thought too much about it as I've gone through the various 20s, 30s, 40s. 50 feels like a thing, but we've been doing a lot of talking about manifesting on the show. I'm learning all sorts of things about manifesting. Lots of people come in and talk about gratitude and constantly showing gratitude and writing gratitude lists, sort of things that I just get on with life and get around. And then suddenly I've found myself recently thinking really carefully about little moments like that. And we had this neuroscientist in yesterday or the day before who was saying that you can shift your thinking state really early from being negative to positive by the first thing you do before you wake up, your alarm's going off, rather than thinking, oh, my alarm's going off, I've got to go to work. She says, I think, oh, I'm so glad I've got this silk pillowcase. It's so soft on my face. I'm really looking forward to that first cup of coffee I'm going to have. I wonder what the weather's going to be like today. Oh, I'm going to see Anita a little bit later on. And it might sound a little bit twee, but I think I've really taken on board some elements of the job that I'm doing right now, thinking about where I am in my life professionally and personally, and me and Annie and the boys being so much older. I don't think I have a lot not to be happy about.
Sure, yeah.
You know, there are things that can be a little bit annoying or irritating and aggravating, and I can wind a lot of people up. But I think I've always had a pretty positive outlook on life. So, yeah, I think 5's probably where it is.
I love that. I think you're right. You know, looking at you from this angle as well, it's like, yeah, you know, great. We want to know that your life is at 5 because from the outside, it certainly looks like it should be a 5.
I'm very, very grateful. I don't take any of it for granted,
yeah,
Lisa.
Sure.
I think I have, and that's something that turning 50, it's something that doing the Fit at 50 has really made me understand, is that I have a lot to be very, very grateful for. How
did you feel when 50 was approaching, when you turned 50?
It was the first age I've turned where I really started, I think, considering the fact there's probably more behind me than in front of me. I'm very conscious of that because my mum and dad are still around. We spend a lot of time together. Annie's parents are still around. And, you know, they're not getting any younger, and we're creating as many memories as we can. The boys are now 18 and 19. 50 felt like the first decade I've gone into where I'm not just thinking, right, what are we going to achieve in the next 10, 15, 20 years? I think it's the first decade I've got into where I'm thinking, where are we? How lucky are we to be here? How can we make the most of every moment? I think I'm trying to be more present. I think I probably am a bit more present. Annie might disagree, especially if West Ham are playing. But turning 50 was a moment just because it was a moment of real sort of pause, to think, to consider, and to start sort of appreciating where we are, what's going on, because I want to remember it, I want to enjoy it, I want to soak it up, which is probably why I can't argue about whether I feel 5 and a happiness level.
Yeah, good. Love it. So you're here to answer 4 different categories of questions.
Yeah.
I think we should start with game, actually, because of this fitness journey that you're embarking on. Getting fit at 50. What inspired that? And you seem pretty fit to me. You strike me as someone who's always kind of stayed on top of it.
I've always needed to. Unquestionably, I need it for it's my sort of meditation was always running or working out. I loved it. Team sports, game sports. I was never happier than when I had someone to play with. I'm up for anything and everything all the time. So I'd kept myself fit. But the question sort of arose as I was turning 50, what I do, I'm much more conscious of where my body is physically. I used to take so much for granted. Like, we just used to write checks that we hoped wouldn't bounce when we were younger. Now they're bouncing big time. My knee's bad, my back's bad. I have to do more remedial warming up and stretching. Pilates has become part of my life.
Very good.
All those things, because I understand the value of ensuring I can carry on playing football, playing rugby, playing golf, doing all those things with the boys that I want to be able to do. So I started charting this thing, and I just put it out there really on Instagram as I'm turning 50, and I feel like I want to mark that moment. And I was loads of sort of interest from people about what they had done to celebrate their 50th. How do you go about it? Do you ignore it? Do you embrace it? Do you do something every month for a year? Do you do one big thing? And because that side of my life had always been really, really important to me, I started sort of setting myself various challenges, and they came from people that were following the journey on Instagram.
Yeah.
Stupid challenges like do 50 burpees as quick as you can, do 50 pull-ups, which was particularly painful. My son set me that one. 50 whatever, 50 anythings.
Wow.
Things like that. And it was really challenging at times, great fun, engaging. But what I got from it wasn't the physical challenge was great. That was the side effect was I sort of was getting healthier and enjoying the strength side of things. It was the turning up. It was doing it day after day. It was the consistency that really struck me as something that I was thriving on.
Well, that's where the results are going to come from as well, right?
And then that was understanding and appreciating the value of the opportunity that I was giving myself.
And also really important for other men to see you do that.
Yeah, that's been one of the really amazing things, actually, Anita, is the amount of people that have contacted me saying, "Oh, I'm turning 40, Ben, and you've really inspired me to do this," or "I'm doing this for my 50th." My friend Andy's in Australia, and he's going, "Oh, Ben, I'm going to do a fit at 60," and he's now doing his fit at 60. And it's really interesting looking at my friends, and we were all.
Can they do 50 pull-ups?
No, they can't, Anita. Let me assure you. And they hate me for doing it as well. But I kind of look at them, and they all doing brilliantly, got families, working really hard and stuff. But I value massively my physical fitness, but my mental fitness, my emotional fitness, my financial fitness, that has become something that I didn't expect that journey to involve, which has been a real eye-opener as well.
Yeah.
Understanding the mental side of things and how important that was never anything I considered, certainly in my 30s. You could consume what you like, you could eat what you like, you'd get up the next day, do whatever. Yeah,
and it's really important for men to be honest about those things as well.
Totally.
And the toll that all of that can take. And I suppose you're on a programme this morning where, traditionally, women will have those conversations, and that programme especially is a space where you will put it on to feel like people are reflecting your life back at you. So it's equally as important that the people presenting it are honest about what they're going through at the same time.
Yeah, and we want more of that. We want more men to feel
really
like
do.
Something that we're all dealing with. You can talk about it on television. That might help somebody who's watching.
So you've got an incredibly busy schedule. You can't always get to the gym. So do you work out at home, and what do you do?
Yeah, I've got a space at home that I can work out in, which I'm very grateful for. I do all sorts of things and anything. I love trying different things. If I'm at home, I'll make sure that I'll do some physical exercise of some sort, whatever that might be, whether that's going for a run, going for a walk, going on the rower at home, or I'll go onto Instagram, or I'll go onto TikTok. There's tons of stuff there, and it's really simple and really easy. And I think we overcomplicate it in our heads.
Yeah.
So the things that I've got really good at is try and exercise before you get home. Would be a top tip of mine because when we get home, you're knackered, you sit down.
First thing in the morning is quite good.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you can bring yourself to do it first thing, as painful as it is, trust me, the hardest step is the first step. Once you've gone beyond that, there's this feeling of smugness on the way to work when you know you've done your workout and you've got it in and all these people haven't. And you attack the day, it sort of fills you with endorphins and you want to go for it. The other thing that I did do, and this would happen sort of on a weekend or whatever, and I knew that I had to run or whatever, I would I would sleep either in my training gear or have my training gear next to the front door. So I literally remove all those elements that are going to stop me.
That's brilliant.
So it's like you kind of go, I have no choice.
I've just got the best image of you bouncing out of bed in your running gear, in your sweats. Let's go.
Yes, it's not particularly sexy. I'll grant you that. But you've got to take the obstacles out of the way.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how much I can make a fuss and not do it. But you never regret a workout.
So true.
You just never do. You always feel brilliant. And even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes.
How do you fit it all in? Because you are so busy. And maybe this is just something that people say to people on telly all the time, because people say it to me all the time, you're so busy. But everything, I mean, not just a very successful presenting career, you run your own company, you're involved in lots of charities, like you do so much. How's the time management? How do you manage it all?
My diary is an absolute state. I am very guilty of double booking myself and trying to do too much. There is a balance, and this is something that I definitely have a better handle on now than I did, between understanding the amount of work that I want to do and the amount of life that I want to live. I mean, the reality is we do jobs that we absolutely love. So
Correct.
It doesn't feel like work,
yeah.
And it feels like experience that we can share and we love. I think the way I manage time is I've got better and better at putting things in the diary. I think one of the things about the Fit at 50, lots of people say, I don't have time to exercise, Ben, I don't have time to do it. I'm like, until you treat it as seriously as you would treat a meeting at work, you're not going to take it seriously. If you really want to make that change, just diarise it, even if it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is, just put it in your diary. And so my diary is digital, it's full, it's often wrong.
What apps do you use?
The diary app on my phone, which is connected to my management company, which they don't quite like because that means I can change the stuff that they've put in. I use Notes an awful lot to remind me of things that I've got coming up.
What about for fitness? Do you use any apps or tracking devices or anything?
I have sessions from my PT that I've put on my phone that I have from previous sessions that I've done that I'll make notes on. I use the health app, I think, on Apple to see how many steps I'm doing. I've just got an Aura ring.
Ooh.
Which is a ring that tracks all that sort of stuff. So it's on your finger and it does sleep and tracks your heart rate and stuff.
The next section is about learning and curiosity. And you strike me as someone who is just can't get enough. And now you're, again, working on a program where every day is different. And I don't know how many topics you cover in the day. But are you keen to start learning something new? Are you always up for something? Is there something specific that you've got in mind? I still feel really curious about life and about people. Yeah. You know, the world that you work in and I work in, if you don't have that curiosity about people and that desire to bring out the best in people, then you're in the wrong place. And that never stops, whoever it is that we have on the show, whatever we're learning. Hagen Fox, who is a sort of our astrologer who came on today, a cosmic therapist. Come on.
Right? And Hagen,
what did he tell you?
Well, he's just awesome, Hagen. The volume of calls we get into someone who's going to talk about this sort of thing, it's just fascinating, it's gripping. And our viewers just love hearing about it. And when you know that they're really engaged by it, it's very easy for me to go, I want to find out more.
So you've thrown in sort of having cosmic readings on the programme, and you started the talk by talking about manifesting as well.
Yes,
so you are on the money. What have you discovered about manifesting?
Well, what it seems to be is manifesting is a way of sort of ordering your thoughts to make things happen that you would like to happen.
You strike me as someone who's been doing that anyway.
Well, maybe you're right, Anita. Maybe that is sort of thing that I've done for years because I've just worked really hard. I've kept my head down. I've thought, where do I want to try and get to? Yeah. And you put those jigsaw pieces in place to try and get there, and you might go in a different direction, but sort of you end up getting more or less where you want to go to. That's what they're saying. Don't make it an outlandish sort of dream that you're putting into place. But if you put the steps into place to get to where you want to go, you're more likely to get there because you rewire your brain to start thinking those things are possible. Yeah,
I'm just thinking I do manifest every year. I say this time next year, Rodders will be millionaires. Still not happened.
There's some things that are too outrageous.
Now, staying active is easier when everything just flows. This podcast is powered by EE, helping you stay connected to your fitness goals. Whether it's streaming a workout without buffering, tracking your progress with a smartwatch, or syncing your fitness apps on the go, EE keeps you moving without the hassle. However you like to train, EE has got you covered. You're listening to Bright Ideas with me, Anita Rani, brought to you by EE. My guest today is none other than Ben Shephard, broadcaster, quizmaster extraordinaire, and all-round TV legend. So, Ben, it's time to talk about home and the best tips and hacks for a smarter, brighter life.
Yeah.
How does it work? What happens in the morning? First thing in the morning, what's the one thing that you wake up at home and think, oh, yeah, your little routine? Do you have a routine?
Mostly now I wake up in the morning and think, goodness me, I've just had a few hours lie-in, which is magical.
Well, when you were doing breakfast news, what time were you getting up?
3:30
Oh,
would be up.
what time were you going to bed?
Probably not early enough. I've never been particularly good at doing that sort of thing. So I'd be in bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's not enough. But
Would you nap?
I think one of the reasons I kept myself fit was because it made my body a bit more efficient so I could deal with less sleep. Occasionally I would nap, but I wasn't particularly good at that either.
Yeah.
I wasn't great at just resting. My clock is projected onto the ceiling. That's one of the things that I started instigating with the early mornings, because you don't want to wake yourself up, but you want to check the time. So I want to sort of be able to open an eyelid and look at the ceiling and then close an eyelid. So the clock is projected onto the ceiling.
I need to get myself one of these. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, it's great. First thing in the morning, get up. I have to roll my back. I have to warm my back up for a good 10 or 15 minutes. So I'll often read the news, get across the news while I'm rolling my back on the bathroom floor.
One of those lovely rollers.
Yeah, foam roller. Yeah. You know, it's just a habit I've got into, and actually I find like it really releases my back's sort of not great. But mornings are a joy now. I often wake up before my alarm now, which never, ever happened, which I find joyous as well. So that's sort of morning routine, then get to work and we're away.
Lovely. Is home sanctuary? What do you do together as a family? What's your hangout?
As a family, it'll be eating, entertaining, it'll be celebrating, it'll be sort of being as a group, going for a lovely walk or whatever.
You've got 2 teenage boys. Mm-hmm. You present this morning. You know, there's a lot of conversation about how we bring up our children, screen time, all of that. You know, how have you got it right?
I think that, I think we're just trying to do our best. It's not been easy. There's been times when it's been really difficult. Till the boys were a certain age, they weren't allowed their phones and devices in their rooms. Everything had to be charged downstairs. I think up till they were sort of late, sort of 15, 16. Do I think we've got it right? I think we've maybe got some of it right. I'm sure we've got a lot of it wrong.
I mean, you're a parent. You'll have,
Yeah.
You'll have messed them up.
Yeah, unquestionably. Yeah. Oh, no doubt. The thing I know about them is they are great lads and they are really personable and chatty and friendly and interesting, but mostly they're interested. And it's one of the things that we used to talk about a lot from a really young age. Don't just assume because you're a child, everyone's going to ask you loads of questions. You can ask questions too. It's
a super skill, actually, to be curious about other people.
Yeah, if you're good at asking questions, if you're good at being curious and you can find things to be curious about, you will always find people want to talk to you.
Which brings us nicely onto work, actually. It's a very stressful job, Telly, because there is no set trajectory. It's your own wits and your own hustle. Nobody gets handed a career. How have you dealt with stressful moments? I mean, you've had such a charmed career from the outside, but there must have been moments jobs that you haven't got or whatever.
Things have gone very wrong.
Yeah.
All the way through. Really, really early, I got quite a stark experience of understanding the pain, the trauma, the cutthroat nature of entertainment. And
what happened?
I was working at Channel 4 and I was hosting T4 was the show that we used to do on Sunday and Saturday mornings. So I would do Sunday mornings. And I thought I was going to be there for a couple of years and I started doing the Bigger Breakfast and I got called into an exec at Channel 4's office who I'd never met before, and big glass office. And this woman sat across opposite me and started talking about the job I was doing and essentially turned around and said, look, there's not very many live opportunities for people in the world of telly. We can only use people we think are good enough to do them. And I don't think you're good enough. So I'm afraid that's it. We're going to get rid of you.
Oof.
And I can just
How old
remember,
were you?
23, something like that. And I can remember thinking at the time, just sort of staring at this woman and feeling very conscious that there was a glass office, all open plan at Channel 4. I don't know if you remember it, but
yeah,
of course, right? And I'm thinking, I don't even know I've never met this woman. She wasn't one of the people I'd been working with and all that. She was obviously sort of quite high up. Absolutely. And I said, look, totally respect what you're saying. I disagree. And hopefully one day I'll be able to prove you wrong. And she said, yeah, I hope you do. But right now it's not your time, or right now we're going to have to make some changes. And I remember coming home that day and seeing Annie, and just sort of, we'd just bought a flat and we went for a walk around the Rose Garden, Regent's Park, because we lived in North London. And it was a really bright sunny day. It was a Sunday, and there was all these kids running around. And I just can remember thinking, what are we going to do? What on earth are we going to do? This job that I had, that I was loving, this plan that was sort of starting to take shape, has all come crashing down. And how am I going to navigate this? And how am I going to work at it? And how are we going to sort this out?
Yeah. So what did you do?
I had a couple of really amazing people around me. Andy Peters gave me my first job in telly, and Andy was incredible and really supportive.
Are you still working with him now?
Yeah, still work with him now, still best mates with him now. Just always will be one of those mentors. He's an extraordinary person, a wonderful, creative person with an amazing insight into our world and more than that. Amazing friend. But he was fantastic, and helped me to understand that, it doesn't mean that it's the end. Just because that door's closed, other doors will open, because it felt very final at that moment. And then I was really lucky, because around that time, these amazing producers at GMTV called Ruby Qureshi and Misbah Alvi, who I'm sure you may well have met at some point, come across in your career, at Channel 4 at the BBC. They were at ITV at the time. They were setting up a show called Entertainment Today, and they needed somebody a bit like me to come in and be the showbiz reporter on that show with Jenny Faulkner. And Misbah took my show reel, which was me working on T4, to the then editor, a very well-known guy called Peter McHugh, and showed him my show reel, which was a VHS of me doing stuff, like his CV on tape. And he went, no, he's rubbish. Don't do him. I don't want him. So Misbah then phoned me up and she said, have you got a suit? And I said, yeah, I got a suit when I left university. Annie made me get it for all the interviews I was going to do. And I hadn't worn it once. I think one to a funeral or something like that. She said, put your suit on, meet me at this bar. There's a gallery opening. We're going to film the gallery opening. I said, okay, great. So we did a red carpet, sort of very laid back. It wasn't a big deal.
Brilliant.
And Misbah went out of her way, got the cameraman, shot that, went back, edited it overnight, went in the next day to Peter McHugh, put the video in, said, what about this guy? Yep, he's perfect. Give him the job.
Same guy.
Same guy, just in a different suit. And to Peter's credit, he used to tell that story and say, look, just because you've got experience, don't necessarily be distracted by what you're looking at. That's not the be all and end all.
Yeah.
Because Ben was the same person. I was just doing it in a suit and doing it in an environment that was going to reflect what Entertainment Today was, not what T4 was.
Well, it also says something about how you really have to be very obvious in telly sometimes. Like, just show them what they want to see.
Totally. And that was thanks to Misbah really going out of her way, because if he'd found out she had done that, Peter didn't suffer fools. He's not with us anymore, but Peter did not suffer fools. And I think that's the thing that I've come to understand as well, Anita, I think is really important, is having champions around you, people that believe in you and trusting their belief in you to help you have the confidence to do what you need to do. That's something that is really, really important in life. Yeah,
that is very important in our industry as well. What advice would you give to somebody listening to this who might have had a bit of a knockback, at work or whatever?
Someone much wiser than me said, they don't lose, they either win or they learn. And I think that all those knockbacks, all those moments where I've really felt like that's it, it's all over, have just galvanized me to understand what not to do next time, or what I need to do differently, or how I need to improve, that I can't leave things to chance. I would say it's never been easier to try and hone your skill if you want to get into broadcasting, or if you want to get into presenting, because everybody has the power in their pocket and on their phone to make and broadcast content, right? Yep. If you want to do it, get out there and just start doing it. The traditional ways of getting into broadcasting or getting into this world are sort of becoming less and less important. Linear television is changing dramatically. And if you can create a world that people want to experience and understand and learn from and enjoy and are curious about on your phone digitally, just go for it. Don't be shy, get stuck in, do it. Make your mistakes early doors. I was very lucky. I made a lot of mistakes without many people watching, and certainly without social media. But I've made a load of mistakes with all of those things as well. And it's about realizing that there are people that you will listen to and you can value their input.
Yeah.
And there's a people that will want to tell you exactly what they think of you, that you don't need to value their input at all. Picking and choosing those things.
Yeah. Keep the noise away.
Yeah.
Inspiring stuff. So quick fire question for you. You accidentally swear live on air. What do you do? Not that you would, because you're such a professional.
We had a couple the other day, actually. You apologize.
Yeah.
I think I've got much better at weighing up that. I mean, there is, as you will know, there is a list of words that aren't acceptable and a list of words that are acceptable.
Yes, and the list is...
It's often better to err on the side of caution, because sometimes people don't realise they've sworn and they have sworn. And we had a few the other day. So I think you can do it these days, as long as it's not something really, really outrageous. I used to do a show on Sunday morning. There's a very famous story. You could find this on YouTube if you want to, but it was me and Cami interviewing Edgar Davids. And Edgar Davids is an amazing, world-renowned footballer, Dutch, though. Now, if you ever interview someone who's Dutch, the Dutch they have a lot of English swear words. They're brilliant at speaking English, but they don't really understand or appreciate the ones I've met, because it's happened to a few of them, that swearing in English on an English TV show on a Sunday morning is not necessarily okay. And Edgar was playing for Barnet in one of the sort of the Theodora League North or something ridiculous. And he'd come on the show, he'd played for all these incredible teams in this Dutch national team, and an absolute superstar. And the question was, Edgar, how did you end up playing for Barnet? And he was talking about, he's playing with a mate. The mate said, do you want to come down and play? And he was on the bench. And he's on the bench and he said, it got to half time. And he's telling this story live, got to half time. I'm looking up down the bench and I'm thinking, playing for Barnet and I'm on the bench. I'm on the bench. I'm Edgar effing Davids. Why am I on the bench like this? And he said it live on a Sunday morning. And I literally, both Camille and I went, you might be, but you can't say that. I'm really sorry. And then, of course, everybody loved it.
What happens if you've been invited to a birthday party, you've got an early night, early morning, but you really want to go, it's your best mate, what do you do? Are you someone who pops in? Do you take the hit for one night, or do you just politely decline and go to bed?
I'm really rubbish at saying no, as we've established, and I can't have one biscuit. I have to have all the biscuits.
Yeah.
So if I go, I will go, and I will. But I've always been quite sort of philosophical about it. Whereas, like, I'll go out for my friend's birthday, I'll probably have a few drinks, and I've always said to myself, if I'm going to do this, I need to be able to work tomorrow and it not have an impact. As soon as it starts having an impact on what I'm doing, then I need to dial it back. So I think I've been quite sort of. I will give myself a mental pep talk before I go, saying, okay. So what you know is you're going to go and have a few drinks with your friends. You're going to have a brilliant time. You don't want to miss out. You're going to get less sleep, but you're going to get up and it's not going to have an impact on you the next day.
See, that's good psychology.
And I'll talk myself through that. So when I wake up, I'm like, okay, no issues.
Yeah.
Come on, keep going.
You could do a message ahead, bacon and eggs, please. I've loved our conversation. We have something called the Bright List,
yes,
where we ask everybody I've spoken to give us one thing that will help bring us joy. It can be absolutely anything that's brought you some happiness and a bit of brightness in your life. It could be a TV show, a bit of music, an object, whatever it might be.
I got something for my birthday which brings me a lot of joy, which is very bespoke. During lockdown, the brilliant Professor Kevin Dutton, who wrote the book The Good Psychopath, who some of your listeners may know, along with a fabulous cartoonist called Rob Murray, created this thing called Bottle Moments, which I helped them with. And it was a way of the idea that everyone was in lockdown, no one knew what was going on, everybody needed stuff to look forward to and have some hope for. And Kev created, with Rob's amazing cartoons, bottles, and we sent them out to all these kids, and the kids drew what they were hoping to get at the end of lockdown, what they were looking forward to, going to the zoo, seeing their grandparents, playing football, going to on a roller coaster, having ice cream, whatever it was. And it was an amazing moment that all these kids at all these different ages got involved with this. And Rob drew me my bottle moment, which was with my family on the breakwater in Port Isaac Harbour, which is where my family are, and looking back at the village. It's an absolutely amazing moment. And then, so he did that for my bottle moment, which is something I still look at now, and it just brings me so much joy. But then for my 50th, my family basically got in touch with Rob, and they said, could you draw Ben another, so it's a caricature cartoon of all the family. So all my cousins, all my aunts, all my uncles, all the nieces and nephews, and they're all in it, and they're all in the bay in Port Isaac. But the sea tractor from Burr Island, which is where Annie and I got married, is there. Annie, like everybody's there. And do you know what? I don't know why I'm telling you this, actually. It's funny because you said something that brings you joy, but this brings me joy. It's not going to bring your listener joy.
No, this story is bringing us joy.
But I think I looked at that and it suddenly dawned on me, everything in that picture is what I love. Be with the people around you because their smiles make you smile.
Yeah. You make us happy, Ben. You do. I have loved
Anita.
this. I was just thinking, whilst you've been chatting away, that actually I was thinking about the 23-year-old you who got fired from T4. Pa, where is that commissioner now? It's really important that you're on our screens. There's something so solid, safe and joyful about your presence on our TV. So I'm very excited for your next decade and beyond, but 50s.
I know, 50s, bring it on.
And now you're kind of are one of the most sort of established, well-respected sort of national treasures on our screens. You know, you've stepped into a whole, like, being 50 has put you into a whole new space, I think.
Being fit at 50 is about knowing that I'm making the most of every moment.
Yeah. No, I think you're going to have a great decade ahead of you. I can sense it. And you don't have to get up at 3:30 in the morning.
I don't have to get up at 3:30.
You don't have to get up at 3:30. Thank you, Ben.
My pleasure, Anita. I've loved it.
So that's it for another episode of Bright Ideas with me, Anita Rani, brought to you by EE. Please join me next time for more conversation where I uncover the tips and tricks to live a brighter, better life. And if you want to hear more about EE's bright tech ideas to help make everyday life that little bit easier, visit telegraph.co.uk/smartlife. There's lots of smart advice, from setting up parental controls to keeping your kids safe online to making sure you never run out of data when you need it most. Until next time.